Todd Jones asking, who is the new 7-footer, Jordy?
Brian Penn Johnson?
I don't know. I don't know who the new 7-footer is.
Yeah, I mean, the Brian Penn Johnson, who was NCAA, came in last week and gave him the waiver, granted him his waiver. This is the transfer from Washington. We're going to talk to Will Wade coming up here. And Cody knows this as well as anybody. I mean, this was a huge position and need for this LSU basketball team, was to get a rim protector in, and Wade was very emphatic about that. We highlighted one of the biggest recruiting stories with Musa Cisse. I mean, that was the guy that they had tabbed, but one of the things that was very impressive about the LSU basketball staff is when that did not work out, they had plan B ready to roll, and Brian Penn Johnson was that guy, and last week he was deemed eligible by the NCAA, and he'll help them out immediately. Cody Worsham, who's the digital reporter from LSU, is a friend of the show, a friend of the station, stops back by with us here on this Wednesday morning. Good morning, sir. How are you?
What's up, guys? Good morning. Doing well.
How much can Penn Johnson help immediately for what Will wants to do this year defensively?
Yeah, a ton. I mean, you mentioned that Will immediately pivoted to Plan B, and that's pretty indicative of the program. I mean, he's so prepared and so thorough in everything that he does. So he knew, to have somebody there that he could turn to, and I think Penn Johnson could be that guy. We heard it a lot last year, just about how much LSU missed Cavell, Big B Williams. Similar kind of setup here with the transfer from the Northwest, from the Pac-12. Come in and play. And I don't know if he's going to be as good as Cavell was. That's asking a lot. But if he can just do some of the things, like LSU just didn't have anybody that could do those things last year. The rangy rim protector who can, switch on a pick and roll in emergency, who can show and recover on a pick and roll, who can cover the floor. That's really valuable in college basketball, and it's really valuable to the things that Will Wade likes to do on defense too. If you remember that run that LSU made a couple years ago to the Sweet 16, they weren't great defensively, but they were a pretty good defensive pick and roll team, especially. And Cavell was huge in that. So if Penn Johnson can do that, at least some semblance of it. He doesn't have to be 30 minutes a game. He doesn't have to be all SEC. He doesn't have to be SEC Defensive Player of the Year. But if he can give them that defensive versatility that they just didn't have last year, just covers up so much, and it makes your defense better pretty instantly. It's like a Band-Aid that you can put on things to fix a lot of problems in one fell swoop. So he's going to be huge.
Cody Worsham, digital media reporter, great podcast that you can subscribe to over at lsusports.net. Boot Up is one of them. And then I heard you sit down with Terrace Marshall a couple of weeks back for a great conversation with the wide receiver, and Emily Dixon followed up that conversation with the sit down that I heard. And Marshall is very motivated for this season, Cody. And one thing that I think we discount on Marshall has been his health status at LSU. He came in injured. He got banged up last season. It seems like for the first time he's really got a clear head and a healthy body going into camp.
Yeah, I mean, last year he gets hurt in the Vanderbilt game and kind of a weird injury. I remember after the game, like going to the bus and Terrace is on crutches, and I was like, I don't even remember Terrace getting hurt, and it just kind of happened on a third down play where he tried to extend for a ball and just kind of hurt his foot. But the way he came back from that showed me a lot. I remember one day being in the facility and talking to somebody, and Terrace kind of walked by, and he said, "Hey, when are you coming back? You come back for maybe the Alabama game?" He said, "No, I'm coming back for Auburn." And it was just so quick, his recovery, and he wasn't 100%. He probably wasn't 100% until late in the season when he really blew up in the playoffs, had a couple touchdowns, and in those big games down the stretch of the season. And that was probably the healthiest that he had been since before the season when he came into the season at 100%. So if he can be that guy this year, I mean, the numbers are off the charts. If you look at percentages of touchdowns as a ratio to catches, he was number one in the country last year. He had, I think, 1 out of every 5 catches was a touchdown. So he's a huge red zone weapon, but he's more than that too. He's a complete receiver, and I think this year with an expanded role with Jefferson gone, with some health to him, I think he's going to show that. I think he's going to have a huge year.
We mentioned Boot Up. That's the LSU basketball podcast. Hey Fightin' Podcast is the LSU football podcast where you can find that discussion with Terrace Marshall. Cody, one of the things I wanted to talk to you about was on the offensive side of the ball. And there's so much expectation now with LSU, but you look at these weapons, and Marshall is one of them. Jamar Chase coming back as the Bolitnikoff Award winner last season. Arik Gilbert is a Gatorade National Player of the Year. Racey McMath seems like he's ready to break out. And then you look at these running backs. When you look at the offensive dynamic with Ensminger, Linehan, now Kevin Falk making decisions on that side of the ball, how do those guys work together to try to follow up last season's success on offense to put this group in a position to set records?
Yeah, I mean, I have really high expectations for this offense. Like, are they going to have a Heisman Trophy winner and a Bolitnikoff winner again and do everything that last year's team did? Maybe not exactly to that standard, but if you look at it over, like, the last 10 years, could it be the second-best LSU offense we've seen? Yeah, I think it can be. And I think it can I think its ceiling is super high. It obviously comes down to Myles, his ability to distribute, and I've kind of said this a few times. I think the biggest thing for Myles this year is how is he going to do when he faces some adversity? Because that's the first element that a college football quarterback has to pass is, what do you do when you mess up? What do you do when you make a mistake? Do you still have that aggressive mentality that you need in this offense? And Joe, he learned that through his first year as he got more and more comfortable with the offense, and obviously blew up last year. But I think Myles is going to be huge. He just got so many weapons. You mentioned in there Terrace, Jamar, Gilbert, McMath, and then the guys in the backfield at the running back spot. It just feels like it's got a chance to be an elite LSU offense and guys that can make plays all over the field. You've got big receivers. You've got the shifty guys in the slot, especially the two freshmen who have looked really good. And the people that I've talked to at camp, and I'm sure y'all have heard some of the same stuff that Coach O's talked about this, like the first thing that's standing out to a lot of people that have seen some practices is how good and deep and versatile this wide receiver group is. Yeah. And, you lose a Justin Jefferson, you think there's no way that the room can get better. But the room might be better. It might just be deeper and stronger and have a broader base of talent because Jamar, I know he won the Bolitnikoff last year and was really good. He's gotten a lot better. Like everything that I've heard is he's looking really good out there, even better than he did last year. You add in Terrace, you add in Gilbert. McMath, I think, has a chance to have a really good season. So it's an embarrassment of riches. And if Myles gets some protection and he makes good decisions with the ball, I mean, I think this offense can be really, really lethal.
Yeah, I think Derek Stingley Sr. was here yesterday, and he was kind of joking about, you look over at the receiver group, there's like 18 guys, and then the cornerbacks is like 6, and they're just trying to keep up. So sticking with this offense real quick, Cody, when you're working in a new quarterback like Myles, obviously, if the O-line plays very well, that's going to make Myles' life infinitely easier, right? Their successes are tied together. Well, the offensive line success depends a lot on a new face, Liam Shanahan. You've talked to Liam. You've sat down with him. First start here. Is Liam Shanahan, right now, is he in line to be your starting center?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, sitting down and talking with him and everything that Coach O said, it sounds like that's the position he's put himself in. The biggest thing is, and I don't think we'll know this for probably a couple of weeks, is how he adjusts to the SEC physicality, going up against Tyler Shelvin every day, going up against Apuaika every day, Glenn Logan, those guys. If he can hold his own there, I think he'll be fine. But, like, mentally, the guy's off the charts. I mean, he's the Harvard education speaks for itself, but just football mind, he's incredibly smart. It's just about, can he hold up to the physicality? And I have no reason to believe that he can't. James Craig saw his film and instantly thought, hey, this guy can help us. And he's got a pretty good track record with bringing in linemen to LSU. So, yeah, I think he steps in at center and starts right away. So
when you talked to him, did you get a sense of, like, kind of the challenges of – because we mentioned a lot with Burrow, but I guess it kind of got buried with Liam a bit where, not only are you working into a completely new culture, a completely new weather system where you're talking about going from Boston to Baton Rouge, but, like, new teammates, new coaches, and he is now expected to be a leader, a communicator. Did you get a sense of how he's handled that challenge when you sat down with him?
Yeah, for sure. That's the biggest thing, especially at center, where, as you know, you're responsible for so many calls and the quarterback of the offensive line, and you got to replace Lloyd Cushenberry, who played that position about as well as anybody has at LSU in recent years. So it's a big challenge, but Liam's he's got a good personality for it. He's got a Joe Burrow-like quality to him in terms of his personality, where he loves football. He's in the building all the time. He's not here to, as much as I think he's enjoyed the food and the culture and all that stuff, he's not here for the experience of, Baton Rouge and the South. He's here to play football, so he's really highly focused. You get that with these grad transfers a lot too. They come in and they're here to do a job, and so I think he's got that approach to it. He comes from a really hardworking family. His dad's a Irish immigrant, and just the really instilled a work ethic in him. All of his siblings are Ivy League kids, so they're hard workers. They're good in the classroom, high character. They care about the right things. They're about the right things, and Liam's the same way. So I think he instantly earned the respect of his teammates. He came in, probably didn't say a whole lot, kind of like Jabril Cox, who Coach O was talking about a lot yesterday and in recent days about how he hasn't said much of anything around the building. Liam's kind of the same way. Just put your head down and work, and that's the best way to earn respect and to earn a job, and I think he's done that.
Hey, talking to Cody Worsham, LSU digital reporter. I mean, one of the best follows on any social media. Follow him on Twitter at Cody Worsham. Cody, what do you think about Burrow's new icy chain that he got from Leo Frost? Hell of a name for a jeweler.
I'm guessing that's not his real name.
It's got to be a stage name.
No way that's his real name.
Gotta be a stage name.
It's like we looked at Vin Diesel's name the other day. What was Vin Diesel's real name? Do y'all remember?
Like Patrick Crawford or something?
I'll look it up. Sorry, continue. What did you think of the chain?
It was a sweet chain. It's funny, man. Like Joe is so he's
Louisiana?
so unassuming and so kind of humble and not a but the chain it's kind of his thing. He got the one when he graduated from LSU. When he left LSU, I think Boosie hooked him up with. Now he got his own from this guy. So it's like he's the guy that showed up in a sweatshirt and Nike shorts every day, and he's still kind of that same guy. But you got to get a little bit of that flash, and that's kind of how he is. He's as a football player too. He's blue collar and he puts his head down and works. But then he's got a little something to him where he looks at the sideline and does a little wave to the Texas fans. So I think it's pretty reflective of who Joe is.
He is an alpha. Also, it sounds like he's killed it in Bengals camp, so he can do whatever he wants. Cody, also looking at your tweets, you seem to be enjoying the NBA bubble as much as I have been. What's been your favorite part of these NBA playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of fizzled out. I really enjoyed Dame and the way that Dame has kind of put Portland on his back and just, he's kind of got that Steph Curry quality to him where if he's on, you got to watch him, and he breaks the defensive mass of the NBA. I mean, Luka's been really fun too. Like I'm kind of here for the pettiness. Like there's been a lot of the pettiness of the guys being in the same area and kind of going back and forth. So I was here for like the Clippers and the Blazers stuff. Like it made me like not like the Clippers at all. So I'm kind of watching games. I'm kind of hate watching the Clippers whenever I can. So that's what I'm here for the NBA stuff. I'm not here for like Jamal Murray and Donovan Mitchell bumping into each other like by the pool and like being buddy. Like I don't want any of that. I want like guys that hate each other.
Okay, I thought you were saying you're not here for the battles that those two are having on the court because like they are.
The on-court battles are good. I don't like the videos of them like bumping into each other. Well, they're okay. I mean, it's interesting like to see the insight, but I want these guys like I want guys that hate each other in this bubble. Like I want to feel that tension because that's one of the things about this bubble is there is some tension to it because they're stuck there. It's a different situation for them. There's no fans and all that stuff, and so any added tension. I think it adds a lot of fun. So that's why the Dame stuff was really fun. And hopefully we see a little bit more of that with some of these other series.
I mean, I guess that's true, right? Kawhi Leonard's looking at Luka in the cafeteria today like, say something. Say something. Hit another game-winning
See if
shot.
I got to watch myself missing a game winner.
Hey, by the way, Mark Sinclair is Vin Diesel's real name. Mark Sinclair.
Doesn't hit as hard.
Sounds like an investment banker.
It's a terrible name.
Cody, we'll see you, man. Thank you for the time.
All right, guys. Thanks.